Hey everyone, this is Bill Russell here, and I'm excited to introduce you to our newest show, This Week Health Live. Join me and my co-hosts Drexta Ford and Sarah Richardson every week as we dive into the latest in health IT with a blend of humor, personal stories, and expert analysis. We'll bring you engaging discussions and a few surprises along the way, and it's all live. It's on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and it will be on our website as well, thisweekhealth.com. Don't miss out on our pilot episode on June 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where you can join in on the fun with comments and questions, live polls, and more. We'll see. But don't worry if you miss out. Each live episode will be recorded and released on our news podcast channel the following week, so you can catch up on all the action then. Don't miss out. Subscribe now at thisweekhealth.com so you know when you can join in making health IT informative, entertaining, and fun. Don't miss out. Tune in and be a part of the conversation. Today in Health IT, a rash of Microsoft announcements. Thought I'd share them with you this morning. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week Health, set of channels and events dedicated to transform healthcare one connection at a time. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders, notable ServiceNow, Enterprise Health, Parlance, Certify Health, and Panda Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Hey, this story and all news stories we cover on the show, you can find on our website, thisweekhealth.com/news. Check it out today. One last thing, share this podcast with a friend or colleague. Use it as a foundation for daily or weekly discussions on the topics that are relevant to you and the industry. A form of mentoring. They can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, we're going to take a look at the Microsoft announcements. We're going to look at the TechCrunch article. Microsoft wants to make Windows an AI operating system, launches Copilot Plus PCs. So Microsoft is bringing generative AI to the forefront of Windows and PCs running it. And here's what the article has to say. At a pair of keynotes during the annual Build Developer Conference this week, the company unveiled a new lineup of Windows machines called Copilot Plus PCs, plus generative AI-powered features like Recall, which helps users find apps, files, or other content they've viewed in the past. Copilot, Microsoft's brand of generative AI, will soon be far more deeply integrated into Windows 11 experience, and new Microsoft Surface devices are on the way. So they've rounded up all the major announcements. Volumetric apps. This is essentially the rival to the Apple Vision Pro, and they've partnered with Quest. And this is the thing I think that Satya has brought to Microsoft, and it is this whole partnering culture, if you will. They're partnering all over the place. They're partnering with Epic. They're partnering with Meta. They literally, feels to me like they will partner with OpenAI. It feels like they'll partner with anybody. And it's really reaping some benefits. So volumetric apps. Microsoft's bringing Windows volumetric apps, basically spatially aware interactive VR apps, to Meta Quest headsets. Through a partnership with Meta, Microsoft says it'll deliver Windows 365 and local PC connectivity to Quest headsets, enabling developers to extend their apps into 3D space. During the keynote, Microsoft showed off digital exploded 3D view of Xbox controller from the perspective of Meta Quest 3 headset. And there's a picture in here of it. And so they're getting into the spatial computing. They also show off with these headsets on, you could have a massive setup, right? So you could have multiple screens in every direction. And they have essentially the Microsoft apps running in front of them on 3 different, very large screens. So they're getting into that. The big announcement, though, is Copilot Plus PCs. Copilot Plus PCs are Microsoft's vision for AI-first flagship Windows hardware, if you will. So all include dedicated chips called NPUs to power AI experience like Recall, and they ship with 16 gig of RAM minimum paired with solid-state storage. The first Copilot Plus PCs will pack Qualcomm's Snapdragon X Elite and Plus chips, which Microsoft claims deliver up to 15 hours of web browsing and 20 hours of video battery life. Chip makers Intel and AMD are also committed to building processors for Copilot Plus devices in partnership with a range of manufacturers, including Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, Samsung. You get the picture. So this whole concept, and I'm going to come back to some of the features of this, the biggest one being Recall. We'll talk about it, but it's an example of what a AI powered laptop can do. They released some Surface Pros and Surface laptops. Microsoft's newly unveiled Surface device focus on performance and battery, and they give some specs on that and the amount of charge and the OLED displays 90% faster than previous Surface Pros and so forth, and a little faster than the Apple Air, MacBook Air products. You get the picture. It's just hardware announcement. Recalls. So this was the one that's interesting. It's getting a lot of press. And it's getting a lot of press for various reasons, some good, some bad. Windows 11's forthcoming recall feature can remember apps and content a user accessed on their PC weeks or even months ago. For example, helping them to find a Discord chat where they were discussing clothes they were considering buying. Users can use Recall's timeline to scroll back to see what they were working on in the recent past and drill down in files like PowerPoint presentations to surface info potentially relevant to their searches. Microsoft says that Recall can create associations between colors, images, and more to let users search for practically anything on their PCs in natural language, not dissimilar to Startup Rewind's tech. Developers will be able to improve Recall by adding contextual information to their apps, and Microsoft claims all user data associated with Recall is kept private and on device and not used to train AI models. Importantly, here's more from Microsoft. Your snapshots are yours. They stay locally on your PC. You can delete individual snapshots, adjust and delete ranges of time and settings, or pause at any point from the icon in the system tray on your taskbar. You can also filter apps and websites from being saved. So why is it getting attention in both directions? On the positive direction, it's amazing. Everything I'm working on my PC right now, all the different apps and stuff I have open, it's essentially recording that. Now you start to get the idea of what the negatives are. But anyway, it's essentially recording that. And if the app's written in such a way, it can actually provide metadata, if you will, contextual data around the app and what goes on in the app and that kind of stuff. The search is natural language and can pick up on things. You know, I'm looking for where I was searching. Well, in their example, I was shopping for clothes and whatever, and it'll pull up 3 different times where you were actually, one, you were hitting a website, another, you were in Discord, another, you were on, I don't know, on Instagram, another, you had a Pinterest board up, and it'll give you those images, and then you just click on those and you go, it's like stepping back in time to there. Now, the reason it's getting noticed from a privacy standpoint is we're essentially recording everything you're doing on your PC. So that has raised concerns from people, and it should raise concerns for you from a healthcare perspective. If I thought about it, one of the things I would be concerned about is essentially legal action. And are you required to provide that information down to that level of the PC is actually recording what the doctor is doing on that PC? So from a discovery motion standpoint, that's a whole host of information that's now potentially, I don't know, able to be requested and having to be gathered. So something to consider there. Interesting, powerful feature. Directionally, including AI in the operating system is really bold and really makes a lot of sense. I understand where they're going, and I'll give you a couple of so what's in a minute here. So they have image editing and live transitions. The stuff we can do with images with AI is getting more and more interesting. They have an announcement around that. Team Copilot and extensions, they have announcements around that. Then they have a bunch of Windows Copilot runtime type modules and bot builders, Snapdragon, Dev Kit, partnership with Khan Academy, so forth and so on. So a lot of announcements in this. I think the most relevant, though, is the vision around the operating system now being AI enabled and AI infused, if you will. I think that's absolutely the direction that the world is going to go. And I will be honest with you, I didn't see it as clearly as I do right now. Satya saw it well before the rest of us and has been building it out and is releasing it. If not in a ton of features, he's releasing it in concepts. And to a certain extent, I think Apple was heading in this direction and others are heading in this direction. But they're definitely behind from a vision standpoint and being out there and leading the conversation. But it remains to be seen which operating system will integrate AI. But I think there's a race that's going to be going on. As a CIO, I'd be concerned about the PCs I'm going to be buying in the future and how much of these advanced features are going to be on my PCs, and how much of them are really necessary? Am I paying for features and things that I don't necessarily need? Am I using power to fuel this technology that I'm not necessarily going to need? Am I creating a liability for my health system by bringing this technology in? I think all of those are relevant questions. And by the way, I think this is how AI just seeps into every aspect of healthcare. I think it just comes in one vendor at a time. Hey, we included that into this solution. Hey, we included that into the hardware. Hey, we included that into the routers. Hey, that's included into your Wi-Fi devices, your NFC devices, you name it. It's just going to start showing up, and it's going to be a part of your biomed device. It's going to be a part of everything. And so we have to get in front of that for sure, from a protecting the organization standpoint, but we also have to get in front of it from a, what is the opportunity? What can we do today that we couldn't do yesterday? And what are we going to be able to do 6 months from now that we can't do today? Be nice to be creating that roadmap and thinking about what is going to be possible from a hardware, from a software perspective, from a workflow perspective, from an outcome perspective. So anyway, Microsoft leading the way. Satya's, I would not bet against Satya at this point. He really does seem to be making all the right moves. That's all for today. Don't forget, share this podcast with a friend or colleague. Use it as a foundation for mentoring. We want to thank our channel sponsors who are investing in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders. Notable: ServiceNow, Enterprise Health, Parlance, Certify Health, and Panda Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.